October 13th, 1979. Oiler owner Peter Pocklington presided at Edmonton's first NHL game in the Coliseum. Pocklington boldly promised that his team would win the Stanley Cup in 5 years. Well, this is year 5. In most other Canadian hockey cities, the Oiler achievements in such a short span would be more than enough to satisfy the hockey public. This town wants Peter's promise fulfilled. The fans want the Stanley Cup, and they want it this year. The promise and the performance have placed incredible pressures on this hockey club. So close last year, yet the famous Islanders sweep in the final last May is really all that remains of the record-breaking Oiler exploits of last season. This year, another superb showing in the regular season and in the playoffs so far. But all that matters now is performance in the Stanley Cup final. The Oilers have learned from last time, and they have matured as a hockey team. The question, as they head to the Stanley Cup final for the second straight year, is how much? Round 1, Game 1. The Edmonton-Winnipeg series, April 4th at the Coliseum. The Jets came into the series with little real hope. The Oilers had beaten them 8 straight times during the regular season. And Edmonton got going early. 40 seconds into the game, Wayne Gretzky sent Jari Kurri in for the opening goal. Less than 6 minutes later, defenseman Randy Gregg drilled a long shot from the point past the Jets goaltender Doug Sotart. 2-0 Edmonton. Later in the period, 3 goals in a 4-minute span. Kurri and Raimo Summanen set up the first of 2 goals by defenseman Paul Coffey. Next, it was Dave Hunter's turn. The play made possible by Kevin McClellan, who took Jets defenseman Tim Waters out of the play, leaving Hunter a free shot from 15 feet out. McClellan also instrumental in setting up Coffey's second goal of the period. By the end of 1, the Oilers led 5-1. It was an easy 9-2 victory, and the Oilers looked unstoppable. The Jets didn't stop them in Game 2, but they did slow them down. Marc Barron, the rookie netminder from the U.S. Olympic team in his first playoff start, responded with an outstanding display. First, a big stop on Kevin McClellan, and that preserved a scoreless tie at the end of the first period. In the second, the Jets worked a lot harder up front. The reward, the first goal by Dale Hawerchuk. The Oilers got even on a goal by Gretzky, and the Jets were back in the lead a half a minute after that. Mo Mantha tipped in Randy Carlyle's long shot from the point. The Jets slipped in front 2-1. The Winnipeg lead might have been more, except for the work of Grant Fuhr. He stole 2 goals from Dale Hawerchuk with brilliant saves. Hawerchuk definitely the leader of a much more inspired band of Jets in Game 2. The Oilers tied the score early in the second period. Dave Semenko got the goal with help from Willie Lindstrom and Ken Linsman. But the Jets were back in front less than a minute later. Mo Mantha got his second goal of the game, beating Jari Kurri to the outside and then beating Fuhr. Both goaltenders were outstanding later in the period. At one end, Fuhr made 2 great saves as the Jets kept forechecking the Oilers. And at the other end, Marc Barron preserved a 3-2 lead with 16 saves, including a big one on Glenn Anderson. The Jets entered the final period clinging to a 3-2 lead. They made it 4-2 near the 6-minute mark. Andrew McBain got behind the Oiler defense, and Grant Fuhr had no chance. For a while, it looked like the Jets might pull off an upset. But at the midway mark, Glenn Anderson finally beat Barron. A great setup by defenseman Charlie Huddy. Honorary assist to Dave Lumley, who caused a major traffic jam in front of the Winnipeg net. Less than 2 minutes later, the game was tied at 4. Jari Kurri broke up a Jets rush at the Oiler line. Gretzky had Summanen and a 2-on-1 break. Summanen got the goal to tie the score and send the game to overtime. In the extra period, Randy Gregg won it just 21 seconds in. Another long shot that got through Barron's pads. The goal ruined a 49-save performance. The Oilers came away 5-4 winners for a 2-0 series lead. And Grant Fuhr in the Edmonton net, the biggest story of Game 2, goaltending in the playoffs. After the game, Don Cherry changed his tune.
Well, you know, I said at the start of the series I wasn't too impressed with any goaltenders in this, and I think I'm going to have to take my words back on that. I mean, what are they, almost 100 shots a game at everybody? I mean, it's not playoff hockey, it's exciting, but Fjords looks good, and he keeps that up, and when they get it down the shots around 25, what they should be, it'll be tough going along.
Let's not forget the Oilers. They came back to win this hockey game, and they were down 2 goals in the third period, 4-2 at one stage, and then as you said, something got them going.
Well, Lumley got them going, but I think they got taught a little lesson tonight. I said that the Jets read the paper and they got up, right, for it. I think that the Oilers read the paper and they got, oh, well, it's going to be enough. That's right, and they're a young club. They got taught a lesson. Let's not take anything lightly again, and it'll do them good in the playoffs. This game will do them a lot of good. Nobody taken lightly from now on.
Now to Winnipeg and Game 3. The Jets applied good early pressure, but again, Grant Fuhr was the difference. He stopped 17 shots in the first period to hold the Jets scoreless. Dale Hawerchuk, again the victim of Fuhr's spectacular play. The Oilers got the only goal in the first. Lee Fogelin set up Jari Kurri's 4th of the series, a 1-0 Edmonton lead. In period 2, Andrew McBain scored his 2nd of the playoffs to tie the game at 1. But the Oilers moved in front for good with 64 seconds to play in the second period. Dave Semenko got the winning goal, again the result of excellent Oiler forechecking. Edmonton wrapped up the series with 2 third-period goals. The Oilers had swept safely past Winnipeg in the minimum 3 games. A series sweep, yes, but a lesson well learned from Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, I think, played outstanding. They certainly didn't, fold after the first game. There was a lot of criticism on them, and their team came back with a lot of character and heart, and they played very well. I was especially proud of the way Boschman played. I know that he was in a lot of pain, and he worked hard, and he took a lot of face-offs, and he never quit trying the whole night. He played very well, and Barry Long seemed to get an awful lot out of that hockey club.
The next stop on the road to the Stanley Cup was the Smythe Division Final against the Calgary Flames. The Flames had managed just 1 tie in 8 seasonal meetings with the Oilers, and the smart money was calling the Oilers in 5. But thanks to a brilliant coaching job by Bob Johnson and a determined effort by the Calgary Flames, it turned out to be a much tougher series than anyone expected. The Oilers finished an astonishing 37 points ahead of the Flames on the regular season. But Calgary served notice in Game 1 of the division final that those season stats were for reference only. Mike Eaves put the Flames in front 1-0 with a shorthanded goal, 8 minutes into period 1. With 32 seconds left, the Oilers tied it. Mark Messier, most of the work along the boards. Wayne Gretzky the setup for Jari Kurri's 5th goal in the playoffs. The Oilers took control with 2 goals in the second, then 2 more in the third. A 5-2 Edmonton win in Game 1 of the Smythe Division Final. In Game 2, a much different story. Again, the Flames struck first. Dave Lumley in the penalty box when rookie Dan Quinn connected for his first playoff goal early in the first period. The Oilers got the next 4 and looked to be in control by the middle of the second. Dave Hunter set up 1 and scored his 2nd of the playoffs on this play. But the Flames started a rally late in the second period. Grant Fuhr caught out of his net when Ed Beers' centering pass deflected in off Mark Messier. In the third period, the Oilers gave the puck away deep in their own zone, and Richard Crom scored. The Oiler lead now stood at 4-3. 10 minutes later, Kerry Wilson tied the game with his first goal in the playoffs. Then, Steve Bozak gave Calgary a lead with 93 seconds to play in regulation time. The Oilers pulled Grant Fuhr for the extra attacker, and Wayne Gretzky forced the overtime with his 4th goal in the playoffs. It came with just 45 seconds to play in the third period. In overtime, the Flames were not to be denied. They forced the Oilers into their own zone and kept them there. 3:42 extra period. Kerry Wilson got the winning goal, and the Flames had the win they needed in Edmonton. The Oilers let down in Game 2, a bit of a shock.
The Flames came in with a different style, and Bob Johnson deserves, I'm sure, a lot of credit for that. And of course, so do guys like Dougie Riseborough and Paul Baxter and Lanny McDonald. I mean, they played as good as they could have, and even beyond that, because apparently Paul Baxter was hurting and so was Lanny and things like that. But we never underestimated the Flames. We realized any team can beat us at any given time. It happened a couple years ago against LA. It's one of those things.
Both Don Edwards and Reggie Lemelin were playing key roles for Calgary. The Oilers had poured 101 shots at the Flames in the first 2 games, and the pressure continued in Game 3. Lemelin drew the starting assignment and kept the game scoreless in the first period with this save on Randy Gray. Defenseman Paul Reinhardt gave the Flames a 1-0 lead early in the second. Reinhardt had a wide-open net after Grant Fuhr had stopped the first shot from the point. Then, 2 goals by Oiler defenseman Paul Coffey, and the Oilers were quickly ahead 2-1. The Flames missed a chance to tie it when Tim Hunter fired wide, and Coffey managed to clear the rebound. It was still 2-1 Oilers starting the final period. Yaroslav Pozar got what proved to be the winning goal just past the 3-minute mark. Pozar was back in the lineup replacing Finnish rookie Raimo Suminen. Al MacInnis then got Calgary within a goal, and the Flames were all over the Oilers in the final moments. But they failed to get the equalizer, and the Oilers won it for a 2-1 lead in the series. The next night, the Oilers took charge early. Dave Hunter scored his first of 2 goals on the night and gave Edmonton a 1-0 first-period lead. Coach Glenn Sather had replaced Dave Lumley with Willie Lindstrom on the Messier-Anderson line. The trio responded with a pair of goals as the Oilers won Game 4 5-3. At that point, it looked like the series was just about wrapped up. The Oilers in a commanding 3-1 lead. But the Flames had other ideas. They'd already won once in Edmonton and were now convinced they could come through in Game 5. Jamie McCowan got Calgary off to a good start on a power play early in the first. The Oilers spent the first half of the night killing off a string of penalties, and the Flames kept adding to their totals. 2 more goals in the first 20 minutes and 2 more in the second. Calgary had a 5-2 lead. Andy Moog replaced Grant Fuhr in the nets for the last half of the game. It was Moog's first appearance in the playoffs. The Oilers stars, the trio of Anderson, Messier, and Lindstrom, accounted for all 4 goals. But a tight checking job on Wayne Gretzky and Yari Curry, along with standout net minding by Reggie Lemelin, gave Calgary a 5-4 win. The Flames' second straight at Northland's Coliseum. And the feeling that an upset was possible was growing stronger as the 2 teams headed for Calgary. For Game 6, Grant Fuhr was back in the Oiler goal. Again, the Flames took an early lead. The first goal to Lanny McDonald. But after 20 minutes, the score was even at 2. Calgary took the lead again, 81 seconds into the second period. Dan Quinn deflecting a shot from Al MacInnis. The Flames got another goal while they were killing a penalty. Paul Reinhardt tipped in Mike Eaves' centering pass to make it 4-2 Calgary. But Mark Messier tied the score on a strange goal. The puck hit something in the face-off circle and bounced over Lemelin's shoulder. That goal, at 6:53 of the third period, meant overtime. Lanny McDonald's second goal of the game, 1:04 into the extra period, gave the Flames a 5-4 victory. Incredibly, the series, the Oilers once led by 2 games, was now tied at 3 wins apiece.
The Oiler feeling going into Game 7, what was it like? If you look back now, what was the feeling in the dressing room? I mean, were you guys scared?
We were scared to death. We were scared to death because we didn't want to lose. It would have been very traumatic for us. I'm sure the guys would have had the worst summer possible. I mean, even worse than the summer we lost to LA in the playoffs, and we couldn't have handled it. So we were scared. We didn't want to lose. But what an exciting feeling in the dressing room. It started when Peter Pocklington came in and gave us an inspirational speech. I believe it was the morning of the game or possibly the day before. Right up to game time, the guys were so pumped up for the game. It was incredible. And to go out there and to play so well in the first period and only be tied 2-2 and then to get behind the 8 ball again in the second period and finally come and score 3 unanswered goals and eventually just blow the Flames out. It was incredible. The fans were like I've never seen them before. Even 4 years ago when we played Montreal that year in the playoffs, the fans were much louder in the 7th game against Calgary. It was such a great feeling for us.
Game 7. Wayne Gretzky called it the most important night in the history of the Oilers franchise. He was right. Twice the Oilers had led Calgary back into this series. They were determined not to let the Flames pull off the upset. The Oilers controlled play in the first period and scored a pair of goals in a span of 20 seconds. First, Lee Fogelin. And moments later, Wayne Gretzky, his first goal in 4 games. Dave Semenko did not get an assist, but he made the goal possible, causing a traffic jam in front of Lemelin. The Flames, though, came right back. Kerry Wilson and Steve Bozak scored for Calgary, and period 1 ended in a 2-2 tie. Yari Curry and Steve Conroyd exchanged goals early in the second period. Then, Sather replaced Andy Moog with Grant Fuhr following the Conroyd goal. Fuhr got off to a shaky start on a goal by Al McInnes. At that point, it was 4-3 Calgary, and the Oilers needed a spark. They had had the best chances, but they were still behind. As he has done so often before, Gretzky was the man to get his team going. He beat 2 Calgary defenders along the boards and got the puck to Glenn Anderson. From then on, the result was no longer in doubt. 58 seconds after the Anderson goal, Ken Linseman got what proved to be the winner. And 3 minutes later, Linseman sent Curry in all alone to give the Oilers a 6-4 lead. Pat Hughes finished off the scoring, and the Oilers downed the Flames 7-4 to win the Smythe Division Final for the second straight year. But not without some very anxious moments.
When we outshot the Flames 20-5 or 6, and the score was tied 2-2, they just got 2 really lucky goals, and to be thinking that, God, we've played so hard and so well, and the score to be tied, and then, like I say, in the second period, the Flames went ahead of us. We were a little tense at that point, but in the back of our minds, we realized we'd been playing so well, and if we just kept skating that way, that eventually we'd score some goals, and there's no way the Flames could beat us. But it was a little tense, you know, when you go right to the 7th game, and then halfway through the game, you're still not leading. It gets to be a little devastating for you.
Do you look back on that experience of going to a 7th game, of going to that crucial game, as something that might help as you continue in the playoffs? Because you had never won a deciding game in any series, had you? I mean,
never before. That's the best experience we're ever going to have. Probably at the end of it all, you know, hindsight, everyone says that they have 20/20 hindsight, but I think if we look back at the end of the playoffs and we win the Stanley Cup, that'll be the big turning point for us, that Game 7, the fact that we won our first deciding game in a series, the deciding game in a series. It was a great experience for us, and we can look forward to if we do get into another series like that, we realize we can win it, even though we lost Game 5 and 6, and like I say, our backs were against the wall. We did win a deciding game.
The Calgary series had pushed the Oilers to the limit, but it had made them a better hockey team as well. They had learned that nothing comes easy in the Stanley Cup playoffs, that the toughest opponent is overconfidence. The Flames had provided yet another example of how irrelevant regular season performance has been this year. Next on the agenda, the Minnesota North Stars, winners of the Norris Division title in 7 games against St. Louis. The North Stars came into Game 1 with a string of injuries. But by this time, the Oilers had learned not to take anyone for granted. The Oilers took no pity on the visitors. 92 seconds after the last strains of the national anthem faded away, Dave Semenko got his 4th goal in the playoffs. Semenko figured prominently in the next 3 Oiler goals as well. His presence in front of goaltender Don Beaupre frustrated the Minnesota netminder all night long. And at the other end, Grant Fuhr was outstanding, blocking 33 shots and frustrating the North Stars time and time again. Grant Fuhr, again the Oilers story. A victory in Game 1 in the Campbell Conference Final. The early part of Game 2 looked like a replay. The Oilers got 2 quick goals from Ken Linseman. The North Stars rallied with 3 goals in the second period, but the Oilers were even on a goal by Yari Curry. Rookie Larry Melnick started the play at the North Star blue line, and Gretzky also drew an assist. Early in period 3, the Oilers lost Grant Fuhr when he and Minnesota's Paul Holmgren crashed into the Oiler net. Fuhr was forced to leave the game, and Andy Moog came in to finish. Gretzky's power play goal 6 minutes into the final period turned out to be the controversial game winner. Little argument from the North Stars at the time. Referee Bruce Hood was right there to rule the puck did indeed cross the goal line. The Oilers with a 4-3 win and a 2-0 lead in the Campbell Conference Final.
It's sort of too hard to believe after going through a 7-game series. You're going, God, these guys are going to turn it on sooner or later. And you're always wondering in your back of your mind, are you going to go back to Edmonton tied 2-2, and is it going to be another 7-game series? But once we got in the game and remembering that we're such a good road team, we play it, you know, almost doubly hard on the road. I don't know why we do it, but we forecheck better, and we seem to be a little more inspired on the road. And after seeing the way we played in the first period of that game, I knew, God, we're going to sweep the series no problem. And goaltending helped out. We got some big saves, but our forwards were, you know, Glenn Anderson, Mark Messier, Kenny Linsman, Gretzky, Yari, all the forwards played so well, Davey Hunter's line, that there was no reason why we couldn't sweep the series.
Now the scene shifted to the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, and Game 3. The Oilers in front 2-0 on goals by Lumley and Gretzky. But in the second, Lumley took a 5-minute major for Spearing, and the North Stars scored 3 times to take the lead. Minnesota leading 5-2 late in the second period. After that, the Oilers staged a remarkable comeback and got Dave Lumley off the hook. Paul Coffey beat Don Beaupre to cut the margin to 2 goals, and the third period belonged to the Oilers. They scored 5 straight times. Curry started the onslaught with his 12th in the playoffs. Glenn Anderson tied it, and then Linsman got the winner with help from Yaroslav Pozar. It was Linsman's 8th goal of the playoffs, and the Oilers were now within 1 of going to the Stanley Cup Final. After missing Game 3 with an arm injury, Grant Fuhr returned to the Oiler goal, and Fuhr was the main reason the Oilers were able to eliminate the North Stars in 4 straight. The Oilers' first goal early in the second period, when Don Jackson beat Minnesota's Brad Maxwell to the outside and slipped a shot under Gilles Melange. Early in the final period, Kevin Lowe intercepted a clearing pass at the Minnesota line, and Ken Linsman finally scored on the scramble. Dino Ciccarelli had given the North Stars brief life with his 4th of the playoffs, but after that, Fuhr closed the door with a key save on Steve Payne in the dying seconds. Yari Curry's 13th goal of the playoffs into an empty net assured the Oilers of their 2nd straight appearance in the Stanley Cup Final.
The celebration after winning the Campbell Conference Bowl for the 2nd year did not seem to be as emotional as last year. It was much more laid back as you congratulated Minnesota on the ice.
It was much more laid back. Some of the reporters in the dressing room after the game I think they were almost disappointed that there wasn't much excitement in the room. But we've played down the Campbell Conference thing so much. I mean, from day 1 of training camp this season, Glenn said that our goal is to win the Stanley Cup. So we've had it drilled in our minds. The Stanley Cup is the big thing. That's what we're shooting for.
Is there a good chance for the Oilers to win it this year?
It's got to be a good chance.
Excellent chance?
It's got to be an excellent chance. It's got to be a better than excellent chance. I don't want to go through, or I don't want to have gone through another 110-game season and come up empty. I mean, when you look at it realistically, last year we got to the Stanley Cup Finals, but everyone remembers the New York Islanders, and no one really remembers the Edmonton Oilers. So 110 games is a lot of games to play and to come up empty. So we have to win it, and we're hungrier, we're healthier, and I think we're younger than a team we're going to play. So this should be the year.
Are the Islanders getting a little old?
Well, I don't want to say that because last year we disturbed them, or we didn't disturb them, but the media disturbed them by saying they were a little old and they lacked the charisma of the young Oilers. That sort of got them fired up. I don't want to say they're old. I just want to say we're young.